Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick. My name is Glenn Williams, and I am the chairperson of our Board of Trustees. I have often been here in the pulpit for the welcome and announcements at the beginning of the service, but never like this. The worship committee has done a great job of putting together today's virtual service with lots of help from Judd. Sylvia is on sabbatical this week, and typically when the minister is away, we have a guest speaker. Today, we have two guest speakers, but they will be speaking words written by Sylvia. Louise Gephardt and Cindy Parker will be reading the sermon. I won't ask you to silence your cell phones. You could actually be watching this on your cell phone. The COVID-19 crisis has stimulated a lot of creativity in our church community. We've already had many meetings via Zoom video conference, and this is our third virtual church service. We're making plans for live streaming, but for now, the recorded option is best. The virus came along at a time when we were already working on modernizing communications, and an exciting example of that is our new website, which you can visit now, actually after the church service. We think it's a big improvement. You can see important news updates, our recorded services, and a link to sign up for virtual coffee hour. There's no substitute for actually getting together, but connecting virtually is much better than not at all. We hope you enjoy today's service. Once again, welcome.
A reading from Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. Wilbur's plans for the day went something like this. Breakfast at 6:30, skim milk, crusts, middlings, bits of donuts, wheat cakes with drops of maple syrup sticking to them, potato skins, leftover custard pudding with raisins, and bits of shredded wheat. Breakfast would be finished at 7. From 7 to 8, Wilbur planned to have a talk with Templeton, the rat that lived under his trough. Talking with Templeton was not the most interesting occupation in the world, but it was better than nothing. From 8 to 9, Wilbur planned to take a nap outdoors in the sun. From 9 to 11, he planned to dig a hole, or trench, and possibly find something good to eat buried in the dirt. From 11 to 12, he planned to stand still and watch the flies on the board, watch the bees in the clover, and watch the swallows in the air. 12 o'clock, lunchtime. Middlings, warm water, apple parings, meat gravy, carrot scrapings, meat scraps, stale hominy, and the wrapper off a package of cheese. Lunch would be over at 1. From 1 to 2, Wilbur planned to sleep. From 2 to 3, he planned to scratch itchy places by rubbing against the fence. From 3 to 4, he planned to stand perfectly still and to think of what it was like to be alive.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Some years ago, when my husband and I were expecting our son David, we slipped away for a vacation at the main camp our family rented annually. The lake there is so remote that we had to hike the 3 miles to reach our destination. That we did, climbing over the rocks and wading through the stream beds that were the hallmark of the track to the lake. We were anticipating a week of canoeing and hiking together, but pregnancy had messed with my joints and sense of balance, so that by the time we had completed the hike to the cabin, I had managed to pull both hamstring muscles. Visions of outdoor activities vanished, and I had settled in for a quiet vacation. My days were rather like Wilbur the Pig's days. I prepared and ate meals, chatted with the neighbors, napped, and watched the world go by.
That week, I enjoyed a magical moment I may never have experienced if my sore body hadn't betrayed me into inactivity. One sunny afternoon, we made our way to the lake's edge. There, we watched the sun and clouds cast shadows on the water and listened to the breeze rustle gently through the forest. Birds swooped in and out. The occasional trout surfaced to swallow a bug. Unable to hike, we explored the shore by sifting through the stones around us, looking for the ones we liked the best. We developed standards for our collection. Interesting and pleasing shapes were a plus. Also, the stones had to be in interesting colors. On a beach where the rocks tended toward gray, we hunted for purples, pinks, oranges, and yellows. Above all, the stones had to be tiny, just a squidge bigger than a grain of sand. I don't know exactly how long we examined the ground in such minute detail, but it was a long time. These moments reminded me to open my eyes to other things too, colorful leaves that had drifted off the trees in the fall, or the palette of colors in a meadow, or the parade of people passing by on the street. I find a certain peace when I open my eyes and really see creation right in front of me.
Retired UU minister Richard Gilbert once wrote, "I arise in the morning torn between the desire to save the world and to savor it, to serve life or to enjoy it. The question beats in upon the waiting moment, to savor the sweet taste of my own joy or to share the bitter cup of my neighbor, to celebrate life with an exuberant step or to struggle for the life of the heavy laden. Much of Richard Gilbert's social justice ministry was spent trying to save the world. Ministers should be concerned with saving the world, of course. Religious institutions occupy a particular place in the culture, part of the culture, yet set apart too, critiquing and urging people to move closer to justice, goodness, mercy, and beauty. Religious institutions live at the edge of the world as we know it, and the world as it could be, taking stock of what is and lifting up the visions and dreams. But savoring the world, too, is sacred. Savoring the world means to regard it with awe and reverence, to stop in the midst of the small but almost fully consuming activities of one's own life and to look beyond to something bigger, something beyond one's control. True reverence puts us in our place, one link in the web of all existence, and helps us to avoid exaggerating our own importance or that of human affairs.
Last week, one of my nurse practitioner friends posted a color-tinted picture of the coronavirus on her Facebook page. And you know what? It was actually beautiful. Yes, even that terrible virus contains some beauty. Seeing that, I was temporarily lifted out of my normal worldview into a larger, more encompassing vision that moves humanity out of the center of things. From a distance, Nancy Carpenter sings, the world looks blue and green. From a distance, the beauty shows more than the ugliness. From a distance, we can savor the world. When you get down to the details, we all know that much of our world is far from pretty. Much demands one's energy and actions to save the world. Savoring the world, developing a keen sense of reverence, can refresh us when the work is hard and the times are tough. Perhaps even more important, savoring the world serves as a reminder of why the work is so important. Why spend so much time and energy to make things better? Because, look, the world is beautiful, miraculous, a gift of grace we never sought and hardly deserve.
Wilbur the pig seems to know instinctively just how to practice reverence. He sets aside one whole hour of his day to stand perfectly still and think of what it was like to be alive. By paying profound attention to the way life moves through him in the present moment, Wilbur gives tribute to the greatest gift creation has given him, the gift of life. Wilbur uses his whole being as the instrument for sensing his place in that vast creation. We too can be such sensing instruments, probing the encompassing mysteries, measuring, watching, listening, feeling. Perhaps now, when we may be feeling scared or lonely or anxious, tuning up our abilities to sense life's beauty is more important than ever. I don't know anyone who doesn't need their spirits refreshed at this moment. We might start, as Wilbur did, by setting aside time to observe what we feel inside our hearts and around us. Even some of the humdrum events or tasks of daily living provide moments to notice keenly the gift of life. The morning shower, picking up a book for bedtime reading, doing the dishes, combing fleas out of the dog's fur. Each of these activities can remind us to stop and reflect, stop and wonder, stop and give thanks for the mysterious adventure of life and the beautiful world in which it takes place.
Our world contains woes and ugliness enough to discourage even the most hopeful and brave-hearted. These days, too, life may seem so tenuous and may be all too brief. But if you look closely, you will find purple, orange, yellow, and pink stones mixed in above the drab gray ones. But you really have to look. No, you only have to look. May we open our eyes, savor the beauty we find, and give thanks.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land where I'm bound.
Here's an excerpt of a poem by Brother Richard, an Irish monk. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality, to how big we really are, to how little control we really have, to what really matters, to love. So we pray and we remember that, yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death, but there can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now, today. Breathe. Listen behind the factory noises of your panic. The birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming. And we are always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul, and though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, sing.